Listen, before we get into this one, as the Drake stans are getting mad. Listen, they don't want me to say it, but you know I'm gonna say it. But what I need you to do is leave a like before we go any further. Really leave that like. And now get ready, lock in, and say it with me. Now when it comes to Drake! Listen, if you are ready to see how Drake decided to make his birthday celebration about victimhood and spite, and with that, well, just in terms of really everything, it's never looked like Drake has been despised and just disliked more. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe because really, as Drake tried to come out on his birthday and pretty much just have some sort of a weird spite party, and after we saw how everything went, and after we saw how Drake tried to get a moment at the World Series, as Drake just tried to pop out in Toronto and look all cool for the World Series amongst many other birthday crash outs, and well, with this, he just got shown that he is less and less relevant with every single thing that happened in the city, from the people cheering for him, which when they were supposed to, they didn't, and they did the opposite, which we'll get into that. And then also throughout the entire just first game of the World Series, beyond the whole Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing people have been pushing there, well, pretty much Drake's home city selected multiple of his biggest rivals to support them and represent them, while Drake just looked like a weird loser in the stands. Well, be sure to leave a like and subscribe because we are going to need it. Because right now with the Drake community, well, you know, they feel like they got something, and they feel like they are energized by the weird celebration that they have called Drake's birthday, which, you know, for a 40-year-old man almost, the way Drake and his stan base didn't just celebrate another year around for Drake, like, you know, a regular person would, and just have fun and honor the day, I guess, and do whatever you like. Well, for these loser crash out stands, I guess what they do like is acting embarrassing, acting like they are always right and everybody's always wrong, and that the whole thing was set up against their favorite cupcake. And well, within that, they spend a lot more time spiting and dissing everybody than, you know, just enjoying the moment of the actual birthday. And what I am talking about, well, it's not just a Drake fan thing, but it really does start with Drake, because now with Drake's birthday celebration, which you know what he had to do, you know he had to use this as some sort of a PR stunt to try and gain anything positive back. Well, Drake immediately, to celebrate his birthday, sent a message out to everybody, well, that the only thing that's going to change in year 39 is that things are going to get more insane. And well, if you step out or draw any sort of a line against the Owls, Drake is not playing around right now. He is going to diss you, he is going to make everything terrible, and he is going to really show you what the wrath of a Karen really is. And really now what Drake said here, well, in a false moment of confidence, it read, "Foul vowels for anybody trying the Owls. One more year, Pondum." And you know, just with this and with Drake's little cringe celebration, he's trying to act all cool, he's trying to show off everything that he's winning with. But you know, at the end of the day, Drake is still just trying to diss people and trying to act tough, because he really can't escape the fact that he has just become the token loser of hip-hop. Well, with that, we are really cooked. But now where things get crazy for Drake, and where he tried to make this birthday a real moment where I guess he wanted to show off how he is one of the biggest stars on the planet, but only ended up looking like one of the biggest losers, was Drake deciding to go out on his birthday and make a public appearance at the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Toronto Blue Jays World Series Game 1 in the Rogers Center in Toronto, which now, if we remember, if we just do a little history lesson, this is where Kendrick Lamar became the first rapper ever to play within the Blue Jays Stadium this summer. And you know, he played back-to-back nights, got a huge encore after Not Like Us both times, and he really just humiliated Drake within his own city within a way that I don't think we ever expected in some capacity. And in addition to that, while Drake runs away and hangs out in arenas because he is scared to do stadiums because I guess he thinks he's not big enough, The Weeknd and Playboi Carti also hit the Rogers Center as well, where they played a really great show. And so with Drake going to the Rogers Center, which, you know, him hanging out in the stands, it really does feel on brand because, you know, he's a fan, he's a fan, and he definitely does not have the actual courage and ability to play in the venue as a performer and an artist. Well, with Drake coming here and with the Blue Jays organization embracing him to some extent, as they did put him on the Jumbotron as one of their special celebrities of the game that they were trying to make everything all fun with, Well, what we do know now is that when it comes to Drake not playing in stadiums and not going to the Rogers Center ever specifically, one of the conversations that we were having back when Kendrick did it and Drake didn't, and there was this whole debate around who is bigger, why Drake can't play in these stadiums, and just everything around Drake's failures of performances. Well, one of the narratives that was being put out and utilized by the Drake stans, and that was even speculated by myself to some extent, well, what's this idea that maybe, since the Rogers Center seemingly chose Kendrick Lamar's side by not just getting him to play in their venue, but even the Blue Jays were hyping him up and they were really making it a big deal that the Grand National Tour was coming to the show, maybe there was some sort of beef or friction between Drake and the ownership of the venue. And as Drake is good friends with the Toronto Raptors organization over in the NBA, maybe, and just maybe, if you wanted to give the cupcake the benefit of the doubt, you could say that is why he wasn't doing the stadiums. But now as Drake came here, he was all happy and he was showing how much of a Blue Jays fanatic he really is. We know that that's all a lie, and for Drake, you just can't play in stadiums, which honestly is very funny. And when you see the way that this crowd reacted to Drake being on the actual Jumbotron and being at the game, you see why Drake both can't play in stadiums and why he's been kind of running away from his own city as a whole right now. Because really, for Drake, who is supposed to be the king of the music scene, the face of the city, and as he would say, the face of the league, to be at an event like this, which it's literally the pinnacle of your city's sporting events, as your team made it to the championship, and you go on the screen and you see the reaction that you got, which if you really listen, there is almost little to no cheering, there's a little bit of booing, but in general, there's just a lot of silence. I mean, wow, this is bad, and this is some of the most just disdain and honestly, lack of care that I have ever seen at a sports game for a star of any level, and this is Drake at the end of the day. Because to be honest, at games I've been to, whether it's the Yankees or the Knicks, if they throw the extra from Stranger Things, Bobby Bacala from The Sopranos, or I was at the Yankee game recently and Flavor Flav was on the screen and half of the people don't even really know who he is anymore, still the fans go absolutely insane just because they know it's somebody that they should be cheering for and everybody's having a good time. And so for Drake to just have this quiet of an applause at the World Series, man, I don't know how we've gotten to this point that really in Drake's own city, they genuinely have turned on him and they genuinely don't like him the way that you would think. But despite the Blue Jays showing that I guess they are cordial with Drake and everything that could mean, things did get worse for Drake's crash out birthday celebration. As you know now, while trying to act cool within the World Series and like you are really the man and like you run your city, you were consistently proven and taught throughout the entire thing that this is the very opposite of what you're doing, and this is the very opposite of how everyone from top to bottom is treating you. And now this is because to bring in Game 1 of the World Series, which did happen in Toronto, well, the Blue Jays and the MLB decided to not use Drake or anything resembling his brand or image to really promote and bring in the biggest series in sports right now in terms of just where all the leagues are at and who's playing in the championship. And what they did is decided to call on two people, which now first what the Blue Jays did was not team up with Drake and OVO for a special merch drop or to celebrate anything for the World Series, but they teamed up with the guy who just shut down the Rogers Center and who is from the Six in none other than The Weeknd. And just with this, seeing Drake show off his Blue Jays chain, seeing him try to be a fan, which honestly I don't ever remember hearing Drake talk about baseball until now, and just seeing him do all of these other cringe and ridiculous antics to try and act like he is a part of the team, well, now to see everything just go to The Weeknd and then pretty much link up with him and release XO merch to celebrate and just bring in such a huge moment in sports, well, it's honestly funny just to see where their beef is at and see how The Weeknd once again has managed to take a win over Drake, even when he's not trying and while Drake is cheering in the stands like it's that Taylor Swift song or something, I don't know. But now making things even worse, you could say Drake didn't just have to see one of his biggest rivals get the real love from the team that he was trying to act like a fan of, well, while he was running around in the stadium trying to look cool, but he was really only looking like a crash out. But also, when Drake got to that stadium and he had to look at center field, he had to watch one of his biggest rivals and really maybe the figure that got him within the most trouble ever since he started to act way tougher than he ever actually is. will just perform an amazing pregame show in none other than Pharrell Williams and his choir, who he works with a lot and who he has really developed into some of the best performers and most dependable and professional names in the entire music sphere, in the Voices of Fire, who were featured on the Clips intro Birds Don't Sing. If you don't know, they were at the Vatican show that Pharrell and Clips were at, which they did amazing for the entire performance. And well, now they're at the World Series, and with Pharrell and his choir just absolutely going insane to start off these games. And you know, Drake was sitting on the field watching Pharrell just be one of the most professional, disciplined, creative, and sound people that the music industry has to offer. Well, listen, no matter what you want to say, for Drake to just have to watch his rivals have this much fun doing what they love and being embraced by the very things he was trying to look cool at, you know that's gotta feel away. And especially when you see the way Pharrell was getting cheers, the Blue Jay fans got the Weeknd merch, but yet all we heard for Drake was disdain and apathy when he was put on that Jumbotron. Because really, I have never seen a high-profile name just have less enthusiasm by a crowd than what went down right here. Well, overall, this is just genuinely surreal. And if you need any more proof that this Drake fall-off really worked, and that his own city really does have issues with him, and that even the powers within that city, like these organizations and like the MLB and like the Blue Jays, well, for them to go with people like Pharrell and The Weeknd and, you know, never even think of Drake's name, that also speaks volumes. And I know there is a Drake stan who is going to sit here and try to tell me that Drake's too big to do events like these, or he's too cool, so he would never open up for the World Series. Just like with Drake not doing the Super Bowl because he's quote-unquote too big, or he felt like he was too good for it, that's not a flex, and it just shows that you're a loser who really only does things for the most superficial and shallow reasons. Because, you know, when your city is playing it, if you had the opportunity to take the field and really hype them up and just galvanize around your community before one of the biggest moments in their franchises, and I guess you could say for the city and their sports lineage, just entire story as a whole, for you to act like you're better than this, or you couldn't take the field because whatever, maybe your booking fee is too high, or whatever other weird reason you want to put, that is just lame. And honestly, to me, it's what's wrong with everybody in art and media today who is in this thing for the wrong reasons. Because, you know, for a lot of these grifters like Drake, there is just no such thing as glory for love of the game, and just for doing things for the purpose of doing them because it means something to you. Which, like, you know, when Kanye West performed at halftime during the playoff game of the Bulls and Cavs series in 2015 in Chicago, I mean, Kanye was arguably the biggest artist on the planet at the time. You think he was doing it for any of the superficial and dull reasons of why Drake says he can't perform anywhere? Which the answer is obviously no. He was doing it for the love of his city, the love of his team, and the love of culture, to unite your passion and your ethos with the sport that you are clearly cheering on and rooting for. And so again, to see Pharrell get on this stage and to see The Weeknd be a part of something, and then to see whatever excuses Drake is going to lose when things go wrong, and you know, he is seeing the city turn on him whether he wants to acknowledge it or not. Well, this is all just showing that things are changing and Drake is breaking. And at this point, as you've been dissed by your own city the way you have, I think we're just going to have to sit here and wait to see what really happens with all of that. So yeah, that's all I got today. Let me know your thoughts on Drake trying to celebrate his birthday but just crashing out, and then really finding out how his city hates him at the World Series. And what do you think is going to go on from here? And do you think Kendrick may come out to the World Series? And do you think anything else interesting is going to happen that we will find out very soon about the relationship between Drake and the Six, which really does seem to be so sour right now and seems to just be in a worse place than ever? Now, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about all of this, and if you made it to this point in the video, thank you, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to hear me say the thing more and you want to hear more great commentary. I really do appreciate it, and it really does help me out more than ever, so just thank you for all of your support. It really is incredible. And now listen, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you really do enjoy your weekend. And if you want to stick around with me for a little longer and see how right before this, well, Drake just did something even more corny leading up to his birthday that I don't even know how to fathom. And really, when I look at these things, it's just making me question more and more what is the point of it all and why it won't stop. Well, check out the suggested video. You're not going to want to miss this one.